Welcome back. In this video segment we will work through step 16 and 17 of tutorial 3. For step 16 we will create extra geometry that we will use to enable us to pocket and overlap the open areas of the top of the part. For step 17 we will pocket the inside of the part. Let's start on step 16, offsetting. I'm going to move up to the top of the screen and select X-Form and then pick X-Form Offset. As you can see, the radio button is turned on for copy, so we're going to keep our original geometry. Steps is set to 1. For the distance, I'm going to change that to 0.25. Moving on down into the preview area, we have a check mark for preview, and I'm also going to check fit. Moving over now to the prompt, select the line, arc, spline or curve to offset. I'm going to select this entity, and then for the next prompt, indicate the offset direction. I'll pick a point above, so that looks good. Moving on now to the next entity, I'm going to pick this arc, and for the offset direction I'll pick a point over here. As you can see, it's gone on the wrong side. I'm just going to move over now and change the direction. That looks better. Moving on, I'm going to pick this arc and then pick a point outside for the offset direction. That looks good. Next arc, I'm going to select this entity, and for the offset direction just pick a point just above, and that looks great. Next I'll pick this entity, offset direction, pick a point just above. Moving on down, I'm going to pick this arc and pick a point just below for the offset direction. The final entity, I'll pick this arc and pick a point below. Everything looks great. What I'm going to do now is move over to the left and select OK. Next we're going to create some lines. Create line, and we're going to use create line endpoint. I'm going to move on down and pick the endpoint of this arc. Next I'm going to move up and select endpoint and pick this entity. As you can see, it's snapped to the end. Let's move on over to the right. I'm going to pick the endpoint. I'm going to hit endpoint again and then pick this entity. Moving on down below, I'm going to pick endpoint again, pick this arc, pick endpoint again, and then pick this arc. Moving over to the left, as you can see, it's snapped to the endpoint. I'm going to move on up, pick endpoint, and then pick this entity. Everything's looking good here. Let's move on up and pick OK. I'm also going to clear the colors. Our next step is step 17. We're going to pocket the inside of the part. Let's go up to toolpaths and pick pocket. Now our first prompt, select pocket chain 1. I'm going to move on over and pick this entity. Now for this next prompt, branch point reached, select the next branch. What I'm going to do is pick this arc. It's moved on a little further, but again, branch points reached, select the next branch. What I'm going to do is move on down, pick this entity. Again, we need to move it forward around the contour that we want to pocket. I'm going to move on over and pick this. Everything looks good. I'm going to move on over and pick OK. Our next step is to go and select a 1/4 inch diameter flat end mill. I'm going to pick Select Library Tool and then pick Filter. Over in the Tool Types area, I'm going to pick None. Icon for Flat End Mill, and in the Tool Diameter section you can see I have it set to equal. Diameter is 0.25, exactly what I want. I'm going to pick OK. It's successfully filtered out the 1/4 inch flat end mill. I've picked it. Now I'm going to pick OK. This is tool number 2. I'm going to change the length offset to 2, and then down in the comment section, pocket the inside of the pocket. Everything looks fine here. Let's move over to pocketing parameters. The clearance is turned on. I'm going to change it to 2. Moving on down, retract is at 1/4 in absolute, so that's good. Feed plane is an incremental 0.1, that's good. Top of stock is 0, perfect. For the depth, I'm going to input minus 0.25. Move on down, I'm going to enable depth of cuts, and now I'm going to hit depth of cuts. For my maximum rough step, I'm going to change that to 0.125. Finish cuts and finish step I'm going to leave as is. Everything is fine here. I'm going to pick OK. Next, let's move over to the next page, roughing and finishing parameters. For the cutting method, I'm going to change it to constant overlap spiral. I'm also going to disable the finish. Everything looks good here. I'm going to select OK, and we've successfully machined out the pocket. That completes this video. Thanks for watching.